Welcome to Club Pro Chatter Season 5, Episode 9. I seem to get that wrong consistently, but good thing we have Kaylee. She always takes care of me. Early parts of November, Scotty McDonald, my co-host. Scott, how you doing, brother?
Good. I got a perfect song. It's the most wonderful time of the year. At least when I was on the operations side, it was, because the doors are closing.
Yeah.
The snow is coming. The rounds are dwindling. We had a nice little stretch there a couple of weeks ago, but now it's just not looking good, is it, Greg?
No, it's not great today. 52 degrees. No, you weren't invited, Scott. It's fine. And you're right. I forgot that you hate people and you want to be done with the season. I'm different, Scott. I want to keep going. I like people. I like golf. I like so I'm a little bit different, but hey, you're right. The consensus is we can wind down a little bit. Kaylee song before because she kind of came on a little groggy. My coffee, and I said, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. But I'm more of a Maxwell House guy, if you know what I mean.
Inside joke, Scott. We got to stay away from those. That's a golf from Scotty. When somebody's struggling, we ask him to take Max, and then Scotty starts telling them it's Maxwell House. You can take Max on that one. So stay away from those inside jokes. Scott, we got a lot on the agenda. We got a lot to talk about. We had a good couple. We had fall meeting, with national meeting. But first of all, we want to start off with our section player of the year, Eric Rolland. Dr. Rolland, are you there? Maybe he left.
Technical difficulties. Here he is.
Oh, there's Dr. Rolland. Eric, good morning. How are you doing?
He's on mute.
No, he's muted. There he is.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. Tell us a little, let's start off. Tell us a little about yourself. I don't even know if everybody knows what you do, that you are a golf coach. So tell us a little bit about all that stuff.
About all the golf coach stuff?
Yeah, well, yourself and your golf coaching and where you coach and how many kiddos you got and recruiting trail, wherever you want to go.
Okay, well, before the golf coach stuff, I got to start with my family. I got a hot wife and 2 daughters. We live out in Otsego, Minnesota. I think that's how you pronounce it. Otsego. Otsego? Oswego?
Yeah.
So, and I coach golf at Augsburg University, right down there in the home of golf, Cedar Riverside area in Minneapolis. So, yeah, we got awesome kids. I got coached the men and the women, and we got just amazing student athletes on the team, smart and great players and awesome kids, young men and women.
Eric, before you were a golf coach, you started as an assistant at the nexus of the universe, Bent Creek, I believe, working for PK, and then went to Woodhill.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk about your experiences as an assistant, and then ultimately how you got back to your alma mater.
Well, that's right. I got hired by PK, Paul Kelly, at Bent Creek there, the home of golf in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. And I should say that winning the player of the year and sort of thinking about it and looking back to where I started playing golf, there's no question that these PGA pros along the way have made a huge difference. And PK is one of them. You know, him hiring me at Bent Creek. And if you know PK, you love PK. He's just amazing with people. So I got to work with him for a couple of years before he got the job at Woodhill Country Club, where he is now.
Eric, tell us a little bit about your early golfing days. Where did golf start for you?
Well, Greg, it all started when I was 10 years old. And this is cool because my grandfather was a member at Stillwater Country Club. And so the very first PGA pro I ever met was a guy I thought was so cool, Mike Tracy.
Mike Tracy.
Yeah. And I believe
the late Mike Tracy.
Yep. Cheers to Mike. And I believe Mike was in his first year at Stillwater when I met him, and he had come over from Woodhill. So how about that? And Phil Reith tells the story about how he got the job at Stillwater's. It's a really cool story, but that's how it started for me. Stillwater Country Club.
So you play college golf at Augsburg, and
Yeah.
then you don't get right into the golf business right away. You didn't chase it professionally, and all of a sudden you're kind of a late bloomer in the golf business. So talk about what made you get into the golf business.
I failed brilliantly in other business. Lost all the money I had. We tried startups. I tried startups with some friends and stuff and just lost it all, baby.
So
But my wife along the way, she didn't leave. And so I got back into golf and did some other things too.
So me and our relationship starts, and I want to just ask you about this because we talked about it on the last episode. If you remember at the great Port St. Lucie, a Baskin Robbins down there, and an assistance championship that you, Brent Snyder, Ben Myers, and myself qualified for, and we all roomed together. We had never roomed together. We had known each other and played, and that's kind of where our friendship started. Now, my question to you, and we talked about this last time, is if you started the business as a golf coach, you couldn't be playing at that assistance championship right now because only A8s or B8s can play in it. What do you think? What do you think about that? I mean, don't you think that, because there's more and more people, look at the number of people, PGA members that are now golf coaches around Minnesota.
Yeah, so you're setting me up here because I think you know what I think, but I think I played in. I'll pat myself. I played in 5 of them babies and made the cut in all 5. So and along the way, I got to meet some dudes like Frank Bensel and talk to him for a while on the putting green. And I just think it's all the dudes that aren't members yet should be able to play, no matter what the classification they are. And then once you become a member, then it should narrow down. But they shouldn't narrow it to just B8s because that's a pretty small field. But when I was there, it was like like Alan Morin and the Frank Bensel and them dudes are like they just play. That's just what they do, and they swing through Port St. Lucie for the assistant championship, try to get an extra 3, 4, 5, 10 grand or whatever it is. And those guys they're not answering phones or they're giving some lessons and and they're playing. So that's the part. That's the only thing that didn't make sense to me in the assistants championship was the dudes that were allowed to play that. But the guys that aren't members yet, who cares what their classification is?
Eric, how long have you been a PGA member?
Since 2016. Scott, did that answer your question, or was that just a?
Yeah. No, that was perfect.
You nailed it.
I think it's a great perspective because you have played in 5 of them, so you know more so than probably anybody of our generation what the landscape of the player down there at that event is.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Eric,
there's like a combination of like guys that are complete studs that have played in a bunch of majors like PGA championships and senior PGAs, and then you got guys that are just like their first time ever and they're from like Wyoming or something, it's whatever, and they're just like, what's going on, man? It's an interesting tournament.
It is. There's a wide gap.
Yeah.
Frank Bensel, one of the best drivers of the golf ball I've ever played with, by the way. Anyways, 2016, so 6, Eric, and obviously we all know the reason we have you on, or there would be no other reason other than, just kidding, other than player of the year. But 6 years.
I thought it was political.
Yeah, we're going to ask you about last night. Where were you last night? No.
Something we can all agree on.
I'm gone. I'm not on. See ya.
So 6 years, we have great players in our section, as we all know. Scotty's one of them. You're one of them. Snyder, we got a bunch. And Don Barry. When you became a member, was this a goal of yours to win the player of the year? Or was this something that, hey, if it happens, it happens? How do you view this?
Both of those things. It wasn't like some hard goal that I have, written down in my garage door or something like that. It was just, I mean, it's cool. You'd want it. And then since we got the spot in the 3M, I mean, who wouldn't want it? I mean, it's a cool prize for the winner. So it was a combination of both. I mean, yeah, it was certainly a goal, but if it happens, it happens. If not,
You weren't hanging. Your life wasn't depending on whether you became player of the year or not.
no.
Well, maybe you can help Scotty with that.
Hey, ask me, since I've been player of the year, ask me if anyone around my life cares. They don't care.
We care.
We care.
Well, you guys do. I thought this might be the Club Pro Chatter political edition, but we're going to stick on player of the year here.
So you become a member 2016. You I'm just looking back at like the player of the year stats from the last however many years, and it's been Sorensen, it's been Snyder, it's been Barry, pretty much since I think like the early 90s. One of those have won, 95. So what does it mean to you? I mean, you've already said what it means to everybody around you, but to you, to kind of persevere and become that first person other than those three gentlemen to win player of the year?
Well, I think the thing that is most occurred to me through this is the amount of people that have helped me along the way. A lot of people that have had just a really big influence in my life. And that's what it means to me is the relationships. And going back to, like I said, the first PGA Pro was Mike Tracy that I ever met. And then there's some really cool relationships along the way that kind of kept my golf going along. But I always knew I wanted to be a golf pro ever since I was 12. I saw Larry Mize chip in on Greg Norman in my buddy Justin's living room. We're eating a frozen pizza and I saw him chip in and I was like, dude, that's what I want to do. And then that's what it kind of birthed the dream. But you want to know where it really happened was a friend of mine on my high school golf team was an Evans scholar, and he threw me in his car, picked me up, and brought me to Minnesota. And so I started caddying at 15, and then I turned 16. I get a driver's license. Well, I learned how to caddy, so I just drove to Bunker Hills and I worked the parking lot for bags, and I got to caddy. And so I grew up in Fridley, it's just right up the road. And so I got Larry Barnacle's bag. I remember my first year, and then I got Steve Jensen, a longtime pro at Brackett's Crossing. And that dude was a homie and he was so cool. But anyway, along the way, I think it was 1991. I was 16, just got my driver's license, and I watched Bill Israelson win the state open. And I was like, wow, I mean, that was it. Like, I wanted to be like Bill. He was definitely the biggest influence. No question. I saw Bill. That was back in the day. You had like Tim Herron, you had John Harris, Tom Lehman. All those dudes are rolling around there with the ropes up. This is pre-Golf Channel, pre-internet, all that stuff. But I saw Bill Israelson, the way he played golf. I was like, wow, he was the coolest thing. I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. So I got off track there. I forgot what your question was.
That was awesome.
Oh, you're talking. Yeah, I mean, there's more too. There's other, like, Craig Warren is a PGA Pro, huge influence on my life. Oh, I know. Scott, you asked me, like, what does it mean? I think what it means to me, like I said, is the people have a huge influence on me. I look back on it, I'm like, wow. Like, if I didn't meet those people along the way, I don't know. And plus, just being in the Minnesota section, like you said, Greg, like dudes like yourself and Brent and Jeff and Don and all the guys are such good players and good dudes. You just learn from all of them. So, I mean, it's a great association of people. And anyway, like Craig Warren, huge influence on my life. He hired me out at Troy Byrne after college. And so I would just every day, I'm like, Craig, can you take a look? I mean, I try to get like a 10-minute lesson from Craig Warren, like every single day. And I remember I was low amateur at the state open the year Rod Cook set the record. Like he shot like 1,000 under or something. And I was low amateur at that one. But I remember I was getting a lesson from Craig, like every day, take a look at this. And it was just awesome. So relationships, man, I'm going on and on, but that's what I take away from it.
Eric, that's the cool part of golf, and that's the cool part of people's story. And we want you to tell us that stuff. Now, I need you to brag a little bit. Tell us what kind of college golfer you were. What kind of junior high school did you play many events? It's okay. We want to hear if it's okay if you brag a little bit.
Okay.
Or if you don't, we don't know. I don't know. I'm interested.
No, I mean, I broke a lot of clubs, and I was a very competitive man. I played high school football until Chad Beiersdorfer hit me so hard in the leg. He put his helmet on my leg, and coach said, "Hey, just take a bath, man. Just soak tonight in the bath. You'll be fine tomorrow." I was on crutches for 2 weeks, and I just gave it up to play basketball. So I was captain of the basketball team. But anyway, but golf was always the first love. So bogey the last hole. I'm in the last group of the state high school tournament my senior year. Bogey the last hole, finished third, and at bunker. And then John Means, the Gophers golf coach, offers me a walk-on spot, and I turned it down to pay tons of money to go to Augsburg and play golf. So that was a smart move, man. And so
not all about money, Rolland. It's not all about money.
Not all about money. So yeah, go to Augsburg. We're like the worst team. Seriously, you could look up the stats. We're like the worst team, but we had a couple homies there, some transfers. We had Troy Johnson, state open winner. He transfers in from the Gophers, and we go on a run. So we went to nationals 3 years. We win the conference tournament. I was an All-American at Augsburg. And so kind of a small college, cool thing. So that was, and I think in 1993, pat myself on the back, I was a Minnesota PGA Junior Player of the Year. So, yeah.
There we go.
High school and college, I had some success.
I would really like to, back in the day, see an Eric Rolland, Greg Snow one-on-one matchup on the basketball court.
No, you would have walked right past me, Greg. I had no lateral. I could just. You too? Maybe I could.
I couldn't guard this coffee cup, Rolland. My college coaches just drilled me. But I threw up 1,700 points, so they couldn't bench me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it would have been a good one-on-one.
I think it would have been. But back to it, the one thing I'm noticing when you talk about kind of your lineage and background in golf, there's one thing that's kind of a constant. And that's Bunker Hills, Eric. You worked there, you went out there, you stayed opens. And when you look at your year this year, you had a great year. But ultimately, the biggest thing on that year was that third place finish at Bunker Hills. Talk about that, because I talked to you a little bit that week, and it just everything was kind of clicking. John maybe gave you a little insight, get the hands a little higher, get that ball up a little bit, and you played great. So talk about that. I mean, Bunker for sure. I mean, forever the MIAC championship was there. So talk about Bunker, what that place means to you, and what that state open showing meant to you this year.
Well, I mean, I disagree with your analysis of the most important tournament. I think the biggest day was the day I let you win at Minneapolis in the match play. But I think besides that, though, I mean, yeah, obviously playing good at Bunker was good. But I tell you, man, that was lucky because, yeah, I played good, but so it was the last group, I guess. I'm playing with it wasn't the last group. Yeah, it was in the last group. I'm playing with Derek Holmes and Caleb Van Aragon. And Caleb he's balling out, man. In the final round, he's like, we get through 14. And by the way, because I'm an old timer with Bunker, I always refer to it as the old holes. People say like East this, whatever that. I'm always like, I remember it because of the senior tour and the old state opens for all those years, man. I know the holes 1 through 18. So that's how I'll refer to it. But we're on 14 and Caleb gets up and down from the front right, just short of that bunker there. And I got the phone. He comes over to me. He's 5 under. And he comes over and he's like, hey, can I ask you to look at the leaderboard? Because it'll determine my strategy on 15, 16. And I thought, man, is this kid smart? So it's a shout out to Caleb if he listens to this, because that kid he's really good and really smart. So that's a good combo. And so I look at the leaderboard, but all I can see is what's his name? The kid that won Van Holmgren. and he's like 1,000 under, and Caleb is just right. He's like 2 shots behind him, or two. It was, I think Holmgren was like 14, and maybe Caleb was like 12, or I think 12. But when we both saw that, we're like, whoa, because neither of us had looked at the leaderboard. We're like, whoa, Holmgren's going crazy. But that's all I could see, Scott, was 1 and 2. So I'm like, all right, well, I just hitting 1 shot at a time. But Caleb busts one down 15, man, just hits driver as hard as he can, way up there on 15. And he hits a wedge on 2 putts, makes par. But then he busts driver on 16, like as hard as he could hit it, and he bull hooks it, and it's going straight to the rail yard, to the lumber yard. Hits a tree, kicks down to the right, stays in, hits it on, makes the putt for birdie. So I'm like, let's go. I was like cheering for him, you know what I mean? Because I figured, just the long story longer is that I'm thinking there's no way there's a bunch of these young punks are going to shoot 12, 13, 14. That's what I thought, because it was just bomb city. I played with 2 really cool kids in the first 2 rounds, Hunter Rebrovich, and I played with this cat from Carlton who's coming through Miami. His name is Anderson Murphy, and they're both lefties, and they hit it so far by me. And I just thought, bunker is, of course, if you're driving it really far, it's like a par 68, because you got iron into all the 5s and all that. So anyway, so I didn't know the leaderboard. I don't like to look at the leaderboard, but Caleb birdies 16, and he doesn't say anything. And 17 is playing way back at the wave pool. The 17th tee box was back at the wave pool with the music playing, and we hit one up there, and we both make par. And so he says to me on 18, can I see the leaderboard again? Because of course that's another tee shot. You just try to drive it way up there, and you just chip it out the corner. And we look, and there's Holmgren's at 14. Now Caleb's at 13, but then I can see my name at 8. There was nothing in between 13 and 8. And I just looked and I thought, Christmas came in July, baby. There's just that. I thought there was no way there was going to be a bunch of dudes at 10, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know what I mean? You got dudes like Angus Flanagan and all those guys. I was just like, what? So I just chipped my ball out to the corner, 9-ironed it up there, 2-putted, and Christmas came in July. So that's my analysis of bunker, Scott.
Eric,
How did
thank you.
nobody shoot lower than 8 under? I mean, seriously.
Love that.
It was like super nice weather. The greens were probably, you all play all the pro-ams. Greg, you played a ton. Sky played a ton. I think the bunker they were smooth, but they were probably on the slowest side of greens we played all. I mean, when you play the pro-am tour, I mean, you play Minnewaska and you're like, oh my, I mean, you're playing defense on every putt. Bunker wasn't like that at all. So I thought the kids were going to shoot 1 million under.
Okay, so player of the year points. When does Eric Rolland start paying attention to that? Can you think back to when was it like, oh, I wonder how I'm doing?
Well, I never did, honestly. I mean, I saw I was at the top.
Scott has Rolland, Scott has like a bulletin board of everybody's, where they're at. You didn't even pay attention to that?
No, I didn't until after after I putted out on the last hole at the golf champions, because it was the MIAC championship was going on, and the kids on the team they're like, yeah, you should go play, because I wanted to go see them play in the MIAC championship. And so I asked Tone, hey, where's things at? Because if I could not go to play Pebble Creek and be with the kids, I would do that. So, I mean, I paid attention a little bit going into the golf champions, but what are you going to do, man? I mean, at Minneapolis, that place is like, you can't fall asleep out there. And so you just try to hit the 1 shot in front of myself. That's what I did.
So talk a little bit about that weekend at the golf champions, because people don't understand what you went through that weekend. You've got the biggest event for your college team, and player of the year is essentially on the line. And somehow you juggled it all and put yourself in a position that you didn't need to play on Monday. And which I told you, we talked on the phone, that that was the right thing to do because you hadn't been with your team the full 2 days prior. So talk about that weekend, because people don't understand what you had to go through.
Well, again, it's the just great people, excuse me. I got great kids in the team and they are supportive of me doing that, of going back and forth. And then of course, the one thing I didn't tell you about which is my big secret to this whole success this whole summer, was my daughter. So my daughter caddied for me in all of the majors. And so that's, I mean, you're just hanging out with my daughter. I like go from bunker, run over to Minneapolis, excuse me, hang out with my daughter, and then go back to bunker. So Scott, I think the answer is just, it's the relationships, it's the people that allow it to happen. It wasn't like, I mean, I was stressed for the kids on my team. Like, I just want them to play well and, get everything they need to play well. And then, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
Eric.
that's how I did it. It was the people that made it easy, made it happen.
We're gonna now. Here comes the hardball question. So you shoot 68 at the PGA Championship day one.
Yep.
Windy day. Tough, like you said, defense a little bit, but actually Minnewaska, that was the most comfortable setup I'd ever been a part of. You go to day two and you got to play with the hometown hero. And you're lined up with him and he's staring right at us right here. Did he get in your head a little bit?
Totally. He's still there. I can't get him out, Greg.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about that, Ron, and playing with Scotty. You guys all had a nice start. I mean, you kind of were neck and neck through hole, what, 12, 13? The three of you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just so happy for you guys played great, in that final round. I mean, that's my takeaway. I was abducted by aliens, I think, on about
14.
No, I was abducted by aliens just walking off the first tee. Yeah. But I mean, no, Scott, it was great. I mean, to watch you guys play, and you guys had a great day. I mean, you guys were out there. It was like a family reunion picnic. You guys were like holding hands out there. I seriously, my takeaway from that is I'm really happy, for how well you guys played. And seriously, it was fun to watch you guys shoot. I mean, shoot under par and play really good in that final round. And just when when your game's clicking, man, it's awesome. So I was just really happy for you guys.
So you shot 68 day one. When did you feel like maybe something, was it on the range that you felt like something wasn't quite right with, I mean, you say aliens abducted, and also, did you feel like something was off?
Oh yeah. But
how do you guys know that stuff? I can't even tell until I'm 3 holes
in. I don't know. It was one of those days. And so it was hard because I think one of the things I've learned along the way is you want to play bad golf with grace and class, especially when it really means a lot to you. You have a day that really, means a lot. And so I feel like I kind of blew it that day. I let it all get to me. But so that's my takeaway. It was just one of those hard days. I mean, I don't think you can play, really meaningful golf and not have bad days. And that was one of those days. But like I said, just hanging out with the guys in that final group and watching you guys play good. Isn't that cool, Scott? I mean, you had a hometown thing, you had all the people around and you're playing good. I mean, how good did that feel, man? It's got to feel good.
Yeah, no, it's great when it's going good, but we've all been on that side when it's been going bad. You feel like I look back at the year that it was at Summerby and I was the head pro there, and I didn't play great there. And we played together in the first round, and I felt like I lost by 10 to you because you came out of the gates. If you remember, you just were unbelievable that day. So you play long enough, you're certainly going to have good days. You're also going to have bad days. I think the one thing that people don't understand about you is right now you're chill, and most of the time you're chill, but you're one of the most competitive people I know.
I am.
Oh, for sure. I've seen you get intense out there.
Well,
and
I just
Lunch
think
break.
I think
What?
Greg and Scott, I just think you guys have maybe seen me at my worst. I think the lowest I hit bottom ever was at the snowball one year. I think I literally I was abducted by extraterrestrials somewhere out there at OGC, man. And there's a part of me that's still broken away out there. But maybe you guys have just seen me at my worst. But yeah, it is. No, you're right. If you're really competitive and you really care, golf may not be the game
It's
for
tough.
you because it's gonna rip you up, man, and it's part of it. But going back to that section championship, Scott, I mean, watching you and John hoop it out there, in front of the crowd, because John's got a lot of fans out there at Minnewaska. A lot of people cheering for Johnny up there, and to watch you guys tear it up, I really am.
Okay, let's flip it, Rolland. So we've kind of documented that how tough it was. You're not giving it the due justice, I don't think, of you knowing your kids are the kids that you coach in an event. You need to play in the golf champions. Yes, they give you their blessing. It can't sit right. I don't care what you say. There's no way that felt good to you. You come out, shoot 76 day one. You can't tell me that wasn't lingering on you a little bit.
Sure. Yes.
I mean,
there's another one of those days. I mean, well, I think if you play a lot of tournament golf, you have all these different kinds of days.
But then Rolland, then you turned it on the next couple days. What went through? I mean, did you have a talking to from your wife, from the kids? What kind of made you go, all right, I can't change that I'm not going to be there with them for this tournament. I can change how I play and how I handle stuff.
Well, good. Well, this gives me a chance to then describe another one of my relationships, which is Tim Yoakum. So if you guys know Tim Yoakum, Tim, I met Tim when we worked at Bent Creek together, and I started messing around with Tim, hitting balls and stuff. And so now 12 years later, Tim and I have got a really cool relationship, and he has helped me a lot, helped me understand a lot of cool things about the swing and also my swing. And so I zipped over to see him on Friday and found a little something, and then drove the ball great, which is kind of one of the keys to Minneapolis is you gotta hit it solid and far and straight, I think, if you want to play Minneapolis. So that's what happened, Greg. Wasn't a talking to from my wife because I give her all the money I make anyway. So she's very interested. She didn't.
So does Greg.
I keep 0%. She gets one. Same with you, Greg?
That's why my wife wants me to stop playing Rolland. I give her all the money.
Yeah, so she gets it all. So she doesn't give me a talking to, but I went to go see. And, sometimes, isn't that the thing about golf is sometimes it's just a little adjustment and then things open up. You're close. But there's a little adjustment, could be in your putter setup. It could be, a little bit in your takeaway, and all of a sudden things open up and you can feel it down there at the bottom and control your ball and get in the hole.
So on that note, though, I don't want to discount this because you're standing on the 11th tee in round 2, 5 over for the tournament.
Yep.
And you finished the last 8 on that back 9 in 4 under to make the cut, almost seals Player of the Year. That's under the pressure. Obviously, you could say that you weren't thinking about that, but under the pressure, that might be the best 8-hole stretch of tournament golf for you, and who knows?
I could have shot 40 back there, missed the cut. Then I would have gone to Pebble Creek and shot 65 and beat all you guys anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. No, I'm just playing. No, it was good, man. Look, what do you say? I mean, some things click and you start hitting it where you're looking and making putts. It's just, you wish you could bottle it up and do it all the time. I tell the kids in my team, when you're playing really good like that, write your feels down, write those things down, because they can help you get out of the times when you're stuck. You can't get out, you just can't find the middle of the face, or you can't, whatever it is, keep a journal. So not many people do that, take a real kind of an academic approach to the game. They just kind of go with it and play. But I try to, tell the kids in my team that are serious about it, man, when you have good days and you find a feel with your driver, man, write that sucker down, because I just think the best players I think they have a couple feels that they can kind of go to, and it just works. I mean, that's why it stays simple for them, and you can play good. You don't get lost or confused too much. I mean, when you do, you have a couple feels you go back to, and there you're back. And so I think it's important when you have really good days, write those feels down, man, because it could be the roadmap back to your good golf when you get in the ditch.
Eric, I know you don't always keep track of where you're at and what your score. Did you know you were outside the cut line, and did you change your strategy for that forward?
No, I didn't. I didn't change my strategy. I just like I said, I messed around with Tim on Friday. We found a little something, and then it like kept getting better, and then it started clicking. And then when I got done, because I played with in that second round, I played with George Smith and Derek Stendal, who are just a couple of awesome guys. And we got done, and I think Derek played good. He might have missed the cut by one or something, but I couldn't believe he missed I couldn't believe the cut was as low as it was. I was like, dang, you gotta play good to make the cut, because Minneapolis is just not easy. I don't know how else to say it.
How many fairways?
I didn't know. Just play one at a time.
How many fairways were missed in that group? Because you all hit it pretty straight.
Yeah, we needed all the seed out of George's cart on every fairway up there. No, I mean, it was, you know how it is. I mean, Minneapolis is still, even though it's like we're straight hitters, it's hard to hit fairways at Minneapolis, man. Fairways are sloping around. You know how it is. Like hole number 11, what do you do there? I mean, you hit it. And
I've never played it. I have no idea, Scott. I'll tell you.
Oh, well, Eric knows it's like my favorite golf course of all time.
That's why I let him win, Greg.
Yeah, on 11, you just try and not hit it in that bunker. The younger kids just don't even worry about that bunker.
Yeah, but even then, even if you can hit it over it, it's not easy to hit it in that fairway, because I mean, you have to hit it in a little tiny strip,
Yeah.
And then like 13, there's nothing to hit it at. 14, there's none to hit it at. Anyway.
So obviously you get Player of the Year, and along with that comes the 3M.
Yeah.
What, if anything, are you going to do different in preparation for it? And how much have you played the TPC? How comfortable do you feel out there? And what are you going to do differently? Because obviously it's a full week in the middle of our golf season, our competitive season. Are you going to do anything different schedule-wise?
No. I mean, maybe I can get like a 50-inch driver. What's the rules now? What's the rules for the longest driver you can get?
48 inches. You can start using that
still 48?
Yep.
Well, listen, that is true. I want to get I have a ripstick in our team room that I use, but I want to get the I don't have a speed monitor, so I want to get another ripstick with a speed monitor. So we can talk about getting one of those.
For sure.
That's probably the plan for TPC. I don't know. That course is like, what is it, 8,200 yards or something? How do you? Honestly, I went out there. Although this is another subject, but going out there this last year without all the boys from the Live Tour, it's a different feel to that event, man. It's different than the year before when I went out there with my daughter, and we're like, she wanted to watch Louis. Dad, I want to watch Louis Oosthuizen. And so, and he was playing with DJ and Bubba, and all three of them cats are gone, I think, man. So, this year was kind of going around going, who's that guy? Who's that guy? I mean, there's still a lot of guys you recognize, but there's a lot of guys you don't what are they ranked 87th in the world that you don't?
They're the Greg Snows of the Minnesota PGA. They're those bottom tiers. Yeah. Scotty, bring us home. Last question for Eric. Come on.
I just kind of asked my last one. About the 3M and how he's going to prepare. Ripstick and all that. But no, I don't have much else. I just want to say congrats. I'm super proud of you. You've been one of the best players in the section for a very, very long time. You've been right there. You've won a match play championship. You've been close in the section champ. So this is congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Congrats, Eric. Thanks for coming on today. We love having you. And I'll never forget at the Preserve Pro-Am. I don't know if you remember this.
Oh,
Bunch of years ago, it might have been the Pines Preserve Pro-Am, but you said, Greg, what does the section need right now? What can I do for the section? And I'll tell you what, I didn't have a great answer for you then. I don't have a great answer for you now, but I love that thinking. And I hope that our members, whether they're great players like yourself or somebody that, you know what, they just sit and mind their own business and run their own clubs. What can we do for the section? And I won't forget that about you, man. And I appreciate that you think of us. And this is a big deal to those of us who, you know, we play in a lot of things and we also are a part of, you know, part of the governance as well. And so this is a big deal to us. And we appreciate you're a great champion for us. And thanks for all you do, my man.
thank you. Thanks, you guys.
So I guess we can, on that note, we can jump right into the fall meeting.
I don't know that I want to, Scott. I'm not sure that I want to right now, but go ahead. Why don't you start it?
Why don't you want to?
I think I know. Thank you, Eric. I think I know where this is going, buddy. So go ahead. You start off.
That I wasn't even going there. I was going to talk about the elections.
Oh, okay, good. Let's start about that.
So I'm very proud of you, my friend, getting reelected as Southern Director.
I won my election last night too, Scott.
Oh, you did, County Commissioner. Did you guys have a little party at the OGC, like all these other candidates?
We had 7 people here, and I gave them $2 beers. That's right. I didn't have one sign out. I didn't put one sign out. I didn't spend any money on my campaign, and somehow I won 99.37% of the vote.
Were you opposed?
No.
So do you have that big I in your column, incumbent now?
No, they don't do that at county commissioners. You have no R or D and you have no I or anything. Okay. It's just straight name. It's actually the best. It's the best form. There's no, just people need to know you or not know you and whether you messed up, didn't mess up. So it's my favorite category to run because we're not running on politics. And so it's kind of like running for the Minnesota PGA. I've never ran on to be a Southern director or to be an at-large director. I have literally no agenda. People always ask me that in this stuff. What's your agenda? What do you want to do? I want to be part of something that's awesome. And I love our section. I love Renville County. And it's fun to be a part of things that are awesome, Scott. And that's what it means to me is I love our board. Despite the fact that you're VP right now, congratulations to you. You basically ran unopposed as well. And so I love it. I love being a part of it. And when you guys were like, Snow, are you considering running again? And I had to think about that stuff. And it's like, yeah, I like being part of the guys and part of the group and part of a good team. And Phil is our president. Kelly, our new secretary. Who else am I missing, Scott, that got on?
Two gentlemen from Alexandria.
Oh, yeah. You guys killed it up there.
Tom Blank, Grant Hansen. We've started kind of an Alexandria chapter.
Yeah, you guys, every golf course almost up there has representation on the Minnesota board. We should have considered that when we hired you.
What I love about our board right now, and people don't understand this, is there is so many different backgrounds. We've got private, we've got public, we've got a facility owner, we've got resort, we've got a person in the golf manufacturers. Like we've got females, we've got old, we've got young. It's a wide scope of individuals on our board right now. And that's great because it's a good representation of all of our members. So I'm super excited about the board we've got right now. And yeah, I think it's going to be, we go from this fall meeting and then I go to the annual meeting. But first, I got to talk about something. This is upside down. Sorry. So after the fall meeting, we have the pleasure to play with one of our good friends, one of the gentlemen who was kind of got us into governance, and was president, I believe, my second year when I was on the board. Steve Fessler. We all know Steve's going through a lot of stuff right now, and you and I are going out to play, and it looked like it was going to be an okay afternoon. 50 degrees, windy, whatever. Fess is like, yeah, I'll play 9. I got time for 9. We get out there. We get out there. The second green, it starts raining. And it rained the entire front 9. And you, Fess, and I remember how bad it was on number 9. It's right into the wind. The rain's coming. We're like, can we even hit this 200 yards? But it was, I think all 3 of us remember how all 3 of those shots we hit on 9, we all made pars.
I do.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. So we get done, and Fess is like, oh, Scott, I got something I'm going to send you. I'm like, you don't need to send me anything. So he sends me this with a message, because we talked about the 20-2 record. And he said him and Trey, his son, have always had this back and forth, like, who's got the belt? And he said, now you and Greg have the belt to contend with. So I guess this is going to live in my golf bag. And the next time I see you, it's maybe each time there's a crowning of putting the belt on, and there you go.
So it's going to stay in our bags and we exchange at the end of the rounds. Is that how that works?
I guess so.
Okay. All right. I can get on board with that. You walk, I usually ride. So again, it's extra weight for you. But
well, this thing's solid gold, so it's heavy.
Oh, well, thank you, Fessler. And thank you that Scott gets that I want you to bring that to Myrtle Beach with you.
Yeah.
In March. So make sure that happens. But yeah, it was a great day with Fess. I really enjoyed the Joe Schmidt talk, Scotty. I was thoroughly impressed with the analogies, the stories, the Joe Mauer story. I told my daughter that story as best I could. I tried to reiterate that story to her. Yeah, you got some books. Just the idea of what he did at his school, and you know how the cool kids typically want to be the tough guys, and Joe went the other way, and just stuff you know about Joe, even though you could see it in his demeanor. But Joe Schmidt laid that out beautifully, and I just thought it was a great meeting. For those who didn't attend in person, we want you there in person. I applaud the National PGA who made the rule that you only get half credit if you Zoom, because it's great seeing people and it's great high-fiving, and it's great to be around. And maybe you can sneak out for 9 holes, which turned into 18 for you and I. Maybe you can sneak out for 9 holes afterwards at some of these places. So, Scott, I thought it was a great meeting.
I did too. I thought Joe Schmidt was awesome. I thought it was great to see everyone. It's always good. I go to those meetings and you see the passion and the willingness of people to step up and serve. And that's applauded. Even if you didn't win an election, the fact that you put yourself out there and you care enough about our members and the association that you're going to run, I applaud that. And I wish that more of our members would do that. I wish we had 6 people vying for a position. But I get that everyone's busy, but I don't know about you. The time that I've spent on the board and given back, it's meant the world to me. The relationships that I've had, and I'll jump right into the annual meeting on this, because next week we did the same thing. I was down in Phoenix, and I was down there Tuesday through Saturday, and we had a blast. I mean, it was the last time pretty much that Foley already said I'll never see him again, because this is his last service. He was an alternate delegate as a past president, but we got to play some golf together. He beat me in their first round. I gave him a couple of strokes, and he beat me 3-2, I believe. So, and it was good. Foley played great. But then you get into the meeting, and so Minnesotans that were down there, or ties that I saw, Jock Olson was on the flight with Hanford and I down there. Ryan Hanford, Joel Berger picked us up at the airport. We met Mark Foley, and Jeff Dremel at the golf course before the meeting. Greg Avon, who used to be up here and is now owner at Lone Tree, was nice enough to host us. And then, let's see, Kate Dremel was down there. I don't want to forget anyone. Phil Anderson came in a little later. Kelly Hoynes. And then we got to hang out with two legends, Mike Schultz, Jim Manthis, for a couple of days. They hung out with us too. So it was great to see everyone. And this is my first annual meeting. You've been to a couple, but it was good to have our officer corps there. We had a couple of meetings where we sat down and kind of talked about what we've got coming up to get on the same page. It was great that Kelly could get there, even with the quick turnaround of being elected. But there was great speakers, great breakouts. Dan Thurman was like Joe Schmidt. And this guy, unbelievable, comes out, says, my entrance wasn't great, does a back handspring with a flip, then balances on top of a podium like doing a full handstand, and then busts out balls, starts juggling, ends up juggling 5 balls at one time. Then he rides a unicycle, Greg. And, oh, by the way, he's written multiple books.
Okay.
So it was an awesome. Joe Schmidt was great, and Dan was great too. And you go away, if you go away from those and you're not motivated and energized, there's something seriously wrong with you.
Yeah, you should be in a different industry.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. That's why the Jock Olsons and the Mansons, they keep going back. Jock's been at every one.
Yes, 42 in a row.
Yeah, it's just, they just love it. And because again, it does re-energize them as golf pros. And I've gone to one in Indianapolis and one in San Diego. And you're right. You kind of come away going, all right, that's going to help me be a better golf pro coming up. And I'm excited for the future of PGA. And so anything cool happened in regards to votes?
Yeah, so this was a weird one. It was my first one, so I didn't know what to expect. But everybody said it was a weird one because there wasn't a ton of resolutions, 2 resolutions, and there wasn't much of an election because Nathan Carnes was the last person standing. Tony Martinez.
Last man standing.
Exactly. So we've got Dan Pasternak, Tony Martinez, both opted to drop out this summer. And Nathan was the only one left. He's from the Gateway section, and he's been on the national board before. And so, yeah, it was pretty much by acclamation. So moving through the chairs, we had Jim Richardson, who is now past president. Our old past president was Susie Whaley. She now becomes one of the, is in this core of past presidents. They get a vote, all this, whatever. So
did you get to shake the lineup? Did you get to shake hands with the whole lineup?
Oh yeah, I've talked with all of them. So it was. I'll get to that. I got a great story.
You don't have a lot of time left. So
I know. So, anyways, John Linder, vice president, is now our president. John was at our District 8 meeting down at Summerby in Rochester. It was great to get to know him. Good discussion with John, back and forth. We had a late night discussion with John, and here him and I are heading back to the hotel room at the same time. We had adjoining rooms. He was right next to me. So it was, but John's in Michigan, passionate. And the one biggest thing that I think I took away, like there was a ton that he said, but one thing that he said in his speech at the end of the meeting was, we should all play more. All of us need to play more golf, which you and I have been preaching. So John's our new president, Don Ray from the Southwest section. He's now our vice president, and then Nathan took the oath as our secretary. So it was pretty low stress there, nothing. The 2 resolutions that passed. Number 1 was adding some literature to our Constitution about just it's just I'd have to read it all, but yeah, exactly. It's essentially a piece that says we do not discriminate against anyone.
Okay.
And it listed 15 different things, Greg.
Yep.
And an inclusion statement.
You know what's hard about that, Scott, is that if you disagree with one, you have to disagree with all when you add all those things, and that's a problem. That's why that gets through, and that's why committees have to hammer those things out to a degree, because it can happen in churches, it can happen in counties, it can happen at school boards, where all of a sudden you agree with 13 items in there, but there's these one or two that you can't get your arms around, so you got to vote no. And it makes you look like you don't agree with all of it. And that's the ugly part of politics. I'm glad that Rolland left. I know you don't want to leave with politics, but hey, sorry you're in on it now, buddy, because that's the hard part about some of those things. They might include some things that you don't agree with, but all of it is pretty good.
Yeah.
And so that's, anyways, that's an interesting one.
Just a side note on that, Greg. You're totally right. You're spot on. If you don't agree with one, you possibly would have to vote no. It passed unanimously.
Okay.
And
again, it sometimes comes down to where you just have to be okay with that because you agree with the overall premise.
Yes.
We compromise a little bit.
So
what was the second one?
The other one was the PAT related. So essentially, the PAT for years has been 36 holes, and you have to pass it all in one day. This resolution was to essentially, you can take 18 holes from one PAT, say you shoot 72, and then you blow up and shoot 84 and miss the PAT.
Yep.
You can bank that 72 for 1 year. So if you play another PAT and shoot 82, 72, you can combine the 72s to pass the PAT. Which the other reason that I like this is, Greg, we sign up for a PAT. Both of us shoot great in the first round. The second round gets rained out and we can't do it. That first round would not count.
There was a resolution years ago, Scotty, the one that I went to in San Diego. They talked about having an allowance for wind or conditions. And again, they just couldn't get there, right? Yeah. You just don't know how to get there. And so what this is saying, and I think you can agree with this, is we don't want the PAT to be a barrier for anybody to not get into the business. Going to work our tails off to make sure that somebody can get in. Yes. We've argued in the past that maybe there should be some kind of ongoing PAT, which to me, giving us a point for playing in our section championship kind of solves that in my mind. That you can get I think it's one of the good points too, isn't it, Scotty?
Yes.
Not one of those also ran points. It's one of the good points where they're harder to get.
Yeah.
And so point being is that we don't want this to be a hindrance. And I think that was did that pass unanimously?
It did not, but it was over 90%.
So there's some purists in there.
Yeah, I think there was 5 to 7 no votes on that, or against.
Interesting.
So, but still passed pretty easily. The other big things, topics, and I'll be quick on this, deferred compensation, which for our members, if they've never heard the term deferred compensation, you're going to start hearing about it.
You're not near retirement.
So here's the thing.
I know there's other things with it, but you don't think about that when you're 26.
No, but here's what the PGA is willing to do now. Greg, if you host a junior league team, if you have a junior league team, you're going to accrue points. If you have a Hope chapter, you're going to accrue points. If you mentor someone, you're going to accrue points. All of these things will build up in a bank. And depending on how many people get points and how many points are out there, you can get up to 1,500 deferred compensation in an account for yourself from the PGA.
Right. It's a legal way around inurement.
For sure, it is. And we've been trying to get this for years and years and years, and finally the IRS said, yes, this works. So the PGA has pledged up to $5 million to give next year to our PGA members on deferred comp, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Next,
I'm writing this stuff down, by the way.
Yep. Next, the big two buzzwords: recruitment and retention.
Retention, yes.
So obviously we need more people. Kate Dremel doing a great job on the recruiting front. We've got 4 recruiters out there. They're looking to get 7. I really hammered them on, hey, we need to market this more. We need to get in front of people on this. And they're looking and they're like, I want to go to college. I love golf. We need to hit them with ads on social media, Google, Facebook, whatever it is. Put that out there. We need to flip the script about all the bad things in golf and talk about all the great things. Positivity. Great. Let's talk positively about this business. Let's talk about playing golf with the board in Arizona. You playing with a bunch of PGA members at your place in a Ryder Cup type format. Like, there is a lot of great things in this industry, but we always talk about the negatives. So let's start talking about the positives.
Yeah. Scotty, I don't know that we got time for your story. Can you do it in a minute?
No, this is the story's done. But the last thing we talked about is Frisco. Frisco, is hosting the Senior PGA Championship next spring. Both courses, one's fully open, one's kind of.
Stendhal.
Yeah, Derek Stendhal made it. Congrats! I sent Derek a text, and so excited for him. But look for more from the PGA about how we can use the facilities. What it all entails, and that's still details that need to be ironed out. But those are probably the biggest things that we talked about, and we're going to hire a COO at some point in the next couple of months.
Love it. Scotty, thanks for going down and for doing that. I'm guessing at this point in your mind, well, you really can't miss one for the next 4 to 6 years. So you're going to be going to a lot of these, and it's always nice when they're in warmer states.
That's for sure.
Indianapolis wasn't great the year we went, and we wanted to golf, and it just didn't happen. So
next year is in Michigan, Detroit.
Yeah, it's too bad. But they always go to no 2 years is Michigan.
Yes.
Right?
Next year is Frisco.
Yeah, there you go. 2 years will be Michigan, and then when Don Ray 4 years, that'll be back down probably in Phoenix area.
Yeah, he said maybe Las Vegas because we were just in Phoenix.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
which Vegas would not be.
That's terrible for guys like you and golf pros and Jack Waros. All right. Kaylee, thank you for all you do for us. Thanks for a great show. We think we're going to have one more show this year so that we won't totally sign off here. We'll figure all that out. But Scott, thanks for all you do for the Minnesota section, and great interview today with Eric Rolland, our Player of the Year. And we hope that you all have a great off season, and we see you. We'll see you when we see you, but for sure at the golf show, I would think in February or March, whenever those dates are. I haven't seen them yet. But for Kaylee, for Scott, I'm Greg Snow. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.